take the sound of the wind in the trees. Is it this far from yourself?
Even saying it's close is ridiculous.
Perfect. Why? I'm just making you state it, but you're quite right. You're quite right. Why is it ridiculous?
Because there is no distance.
Because it's even close is not right. Because it's not close like this. It's closer than close.
Yes.
Why is it? Because in fact there are not two things there in the first place to be related to one another. It's not me, the one that knows, and the sound close. That's why I think I said sometime yesterday or the day before, it's not like water pervading a sponge intimately. It's even closer than that. It's close in the way, my favourite metaphor, it's close in the way the houses in the movie are close to the screen. There are no houses there. It's not the houses pervaded by the screen. There are not two things there in the first place, one to be close to the other. It's just one stuff. Doesn't matter what we call it. We can't accurately give it a name. So it's closer than close. Yeah? So now go back to your original statement. When I open my eyes, the world jumps outside. Jumps outside what?
Well, nothing.
Yeah. There's nowhere for it to go.
No.
There's nothing for it to jump outside of. Of course, when we open our eyes, an appearance of distance, of 3 dimensions appears, just like when we turn on the movie. And a very similar appearance of space arises. When we discover that the image in the movie is not made out of houses and people and cars, when we discover it's made out of a screen, the appearance of house and people and cars doesn't go away. It remains. It remains a 3-dimensional illusion on a 2-dimensional screen. There are no 3 dimensions there. Yeah? Once we realize that, the appearance of 3 dimensions doesn't go away, but our belief that they are real disappears. Maya stays, ignorance goes. Yeah? So it's the same here. When we open our eyes, when you open your eyes and when I open my eyes, the same appearance, a similar appearance happens, an appearance of space, distance, dimensions. But when we explore the reality of that appearance, we find that that appearance is only made of the knowing of it. And that knowing doesn't take place in space, it takes place in awareness. In fact, it is awareness. It's dimensionless. It's made of experiencing. So, yes, of course I understand when you say the world seems to jump outside. And please don't feel that I see a kind of magical, flat world here. And you don't need to meditate very hard for 20 years in order to transform this 3-dimensional appearance into this. It's not like that. I see what you see. So don't try to... This is why in our contemplation this morning, at some stage I said, we don't have to get rid of the cars and the people and the houses in the movie in order to know that it is a screen. You just keep watching the film. From the outside, nobody would know whether you were seeing a screen or a street scene. And you can go back and forth between the two. You can say, I'm seeing cars and houses and people. Or you can say, I'm seeing a screen. Nothing changes, but everything changes. So all this, the appearance stays exactly the same. But the difference is that we no longer believe the reality of the appearances. In other words, we no longer feel that they are made out of something called mind and matter, and that I am a little self in here. That belief goes. We've in our experience, we know that it's all made of experiencing. And I, the one that knows experience, as you rightly say, is closer than close. So we find ourselves, it's difficult to describe it. We could say we pervade all of our experience equally. Wherever the I falls, we find ourselves there. We find ourselves pervading the entirety of seeing. The moon, the chair, a thought, whatever. So don't try to change appearances in a magical way. Let appearances remain exactly as they are, just ordinary appearances. But just check in your experience with your eyes open as you're wandering around. Just ask yourself, do I know anything of an outside world other than seeing? And is seeing ever at a distance from myself? Do I know an airplane at a distance from myself, or do I just know the experience of hearing? It never left myself. Nothing ever leaves myself. There's nowhere for it to go. There's no other space for experience to take place within other than myself. And as the sound of the airplane fades, the stuff out of which it is made, which is the knowing of it, doesn't fade. That knowing remains. It is ever present. It just takes a new shape, like a chameleon. It takes a new colour. So we no longer call this knowingness the sound of an aeroplane. We call it whatever it is. We call it sunlight playing on the walls, or a thought about dinner, or whatever the next appearances is. All appearances, all names and forms are the names and forms of this one presence. Everything, all names and forms are the names and forms of God. Religious way of putting it. All multiplicity and diversity points to the one reality.
Thank you.